Monday of the month, and there is a kind of fight about the agenda of the trials, because the magistrate says that this is a too short time and they need maybe more.
This is one of 4 trials that the Premier is due to stand. I wonder what it's done to his. Has it eroded his popularity, and what's it done to him politically?
These are hard times for Mr. Berlusconi, but Berlusconi has a tough skin, and in comparison with December, although on the newspapers, on the media, and abroad, his popularity is going down, Berlusconi is a little bit stronger than before in the parliament, because politics, as you know, it doesn't mean that 2 + 2 makes 4, and has its own rules. And so he has a lot of problems, but I think he is not so weak to have a terrible collapse in the next hours.
Maurizio Capraro, many thanks indeed. Now to China, where Premier Wen Jiabao has pledged to reduce inflation and corruption and to raise income levels. He told the annual National People's Congress in Beijing that the measures are necessary to maintain social stability. AlJazeera's Melissa Chan reports now from Beijing.
It's a formal and serious affair, with officials from across the country, near and far, convening over the next 10 days. There's often a celebratory mood on the first day of Congress, with leaders looking back at the past year's economic accomplishments. But in the Great Hall of the People, China's premier used his opening speech as an opportunity for an honest assessment of what's going on in the country.
We are keenly aware that we still have a serious problem, and that our development is not yet balanced, coordinated, or sustainable.
The premier went on to discuss the threat of corruption, telling the people sitting before him that they, the officials, will be required to disclose their income, real estate, and investment details. He promised better social services to citizens.
We have not yet fundamentally solved a number of issues that the masses feel strongly about, namely the lack of high-quality educational or medical resources and their uneven distribution, increasing upward pressure on prices and exorbitant housing price increases.
Real estate is indeed a tremendous problem for most Chinese. And on Saturday came the enormous pledge from the podium to eventually provide low-income housing for 20% of the country's urban households.
Every year, Premier Wen Jiabao takes the opportunity on the opening day of the National People's Congress to remind the people the government cares. But this year, more than the past, there are greater assurances from the government to improve things such as healthcare and education. It's a more worried government. Melissa Chan, AlJazeera, Beijing.
In India's financial capital, Mumbai, thousands of people have lost their homes after a fire engulfed the Garib Nagar slum near Bandra railway station. It's home to around 10,000 people, including Rabina Ali, who appeared in the Oscar-winning film Slumdog Millionaire. In Peru, 3 young sisters have been buried by a landslide. A torrent of rock and mud swept away their home. Heavy rain triggered the disaster in the northern town of Moyobambo. 3 other people died and several others are missing. And in Bolivia, people made homeless by mudslides last week remain in makeshift accommodation. The worst natural disaster in the history of the capital, La Paz, killed at least 50 people. Thousands were forced to flee buildings as buildings collapsed across 7 districts. Meanwhile, further north, winter. I was going to say weather still rages, but winter still rages across the United States. And here with the details is Everton.
Yeah, that's right, Adrian. A nasty snow system just making its way across the Great Lakes now. That's going to continue to just push a little further eastwards through New England, eastern parts of Canada, Quebec, for example. I think over the next 24 hours, we're looking at something like 30 to 40 centimetres of snow. And this is a huge system. You push further south through Washington, right the way down towards the southeastern corner. Here we're looking at the possibility of flooding rain. We can see from the satellite picture this massive system then. As I said, we have got plenty of cloud and rain now making its way towards the eastern seaboard. This is the remainder of Saturday's pitch, and there's that very heavy rain. Remember, it's low-lying ground here, just around the Carolinas, through Virginia, pushing up right towards that northeastern corner. And as you push further northwards into the colder air, that's where we've got the snow coming in. Northern sections of the Appalachian Mountains, upstate New York, New England, seeing copious amounts of snowfall. Eastern parts of Canada will also have some disruption over the next 24 hours or so. Coming to central parts through the plains, again, you've got some wintry weather to come here, more heavy snow, therefore the mountain states, and then down towards a good part of California. We will see some very disturbed weather over the next day or two. It all makes its way a little further eastwards as we go on through Sunday, and we will still see some wet, some wintry weather across the central plains. Hopefully, as we go on through the day, brighter skies coming back in behind. But for eastern parts of Canada, I think it will stay bitterly cold with yet more snow to come, particularly around Newfoundland. You come further south, and we've got some snow making its way, sorry, I should say cloud making its way across a good part of the Gulf of Mexico. But for much of the Caribbean, it's fine and dry with temperatures in the 20s.
Everton, many thanks. The voice of defiance is being heard loud and clear in Libya in just a few moments.
We engaged carrying light weapons and a helicopter started shelling us from above. Still, victory will be ours.
We'll hear from those who are determined to oppose Muammar Gaddafi despite the crackdown against them.
People talk about televising the revolution. It's tweeting the revolution, Facebooking the revolution, videotaping the revolution.
A new world driven by new media.
This is a very peculiar moment in media history.
Nobody can force me in 2011 to watch whatever I don't want to watch.
Analyzing the media's role in shaping modern history. The Listening Post, at this time on Al Jazeera.
You don't fight threats, you fight enemies.
Our core function remains the territorial defense of our populations and our member states.
Sanctions, do you think they will work?
A huge number of Western forces have not made huge progress.
The public no longer even believes that, we are there because we are building democracy.
Our empire is imploding. It itself is an illusion.
Empire with Marwan Bashar on Al Jazeera.
Hello again, this is Al Jazeera. Adrian Finnegan with you here in Doha. The top stories this hour. In the battle for Libya, anti-Gaddafi forces are celebrating in the key oil port of Ras Lanuf. They've managed to hang on to the city after repelling an attack by government loyalists. We've also been hearing reports of fresh airstrikes on Ras Lanuf. Anti-government fighters say they're also in control of another key oil port. Brega is west of the capital, Tripoli.